So you may have been driving around an Amish community and noticed these structures, which are small one-person buildings, basically not more than a door and a roof, sometimes not even a door. And so what are these? What you're seeing in most cases are the Amish phone shanty or phone shack. You could think of this kind of like an Amish phone booth. This is the way a lot of Amish have access to the phone. Basically, they have a phone, but it's not in the home. It's in a separate building away from the home. Why do they do this? What's the point? Well, the Amish recognize that the phone is a useful tool. They need it to communicate with family in other communities or even other states, to do business, to call the doctor, to call the vet, any, number of purposes. So just like us, they need to use the phone, but they don't necessarily want to have it in the home. And the reason is because the phone is seen as potentially disruptive to the family, to the community. You just think about how we non-Amish people use our phones today. And of course, I'm thinking about smartphones and how disruptive that can be, and just to face-to-face communication. Someone pulls out a phone in the middle of a conversation to check a message or they get a notification or whatever it might be. The Amish are kind of aware of this, and it doesn't even have to be a smartphone. It's just having a phone in the home in general. So the Amish don't necessarily want to be disrupted by phone calls, when they're having family time, when they're having meals, all those things. So they look at the phone as a useful tool, but they want to, control it to a degree. So this is a solution a lot of Amish have come up with. Have the phone, but have it in a separate building away from the home. So you want to use the phone, you can, but you need to make a special trip to the phone. So it's not something that's super convenient, but you have access if you do need it. So what's inside these structures? There's not a whole lot there. You've got the phone in there, of course. You may have a chair, a stool. There's going to be usually a notepad and pen. There may be some, important numbers that, you want to have access to. These phone shanties may be used by individual families, or they may be shared by several families. And this is just one example of how Amish make telephone calls. You may have everything from Amish who don't even permit this solution, and if they have to make a phone call, they're borrowing an English neighbor's phone. Those would be the most plain Amish, all the way to Amish who actually have smartphones. And, they may use the smartphone for business calls, to stay in touch with customers. A lot of Amish contractors are going to have smartphones. Those are pretty, some would say, necessary tools for that kind of business. But they may have some sort of rule about them where they only use them from like 8 to 5 or, business hours. And otherwise, they keep it out of the house. And you may have other arrangements. Some Amish may have the phone not necessarily in a special phone shanty, but some of my Amish friends have their phone in the barn, so it's not in the house, but it's accessible. So different groups of Amish have looked at this topic of what to do about the phone, and they've come to different arrangements of what they feel is comfortable, of what they feel is something that gives them the access but does not threaten the community. And there are different Amish groups and different Amish churches come to different conclusions or arrangements about what they feel is acceptable when it comes to the phone. Kind of a bigger point here is worth noting: the Amish don't think of technology as evil. They see a lot of what technology offers as necessary. They just want to be careful and thoughtful about how they use it, keeping in mind the effects that uncontrolled adoption of technology can have on their families and communities. The phone is a good example of that. Other examples will be how they use cars, how they use electricity. So thanks for watching. I hope this answers a little bit about how the Amish use phones. If you like this video, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you want to stay in the loop, hit the subscribe button. I do 2 videos per week. Appreciate all the support. Look forward to talking to you next time.